You send Jared Kushner to the Middle East when you have Rex Tillerson and Mike Pompeo as Secretaries of State? Two incredibly accomplished men. You send him. Why? We found out the answer 6 months after he left office. $2 billion from the Saudis to Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump. $2 billion. And because he did all this and more with his family, he's normalizing this conduct, and now we have another president who's doing exactly the same thing and allowing Hunter Biden to run roughshod, making money from foreign governments and selling access to Joe Biden.
Let's see, $2 billion, laptop. I don't think it's the same, but that is former New Jersey governor and presidential candidate Chris Christie making a comparison between Hunter Biden and Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. The one very key difference, unlike Jared Kushner, Hunter Biden is and has not ever been a White House employee. So, listen, we don't like it, but it happens. Billy Beer. I mean, Jimmy Carter had Billy Carter, right? And I think Reagan, did Reagan have some siblings? I don't know.
Bill Clinton did.
Bill Clinton certainly did. Sometimes, sometimes you can't control family members. And you want to, but you can't. There's a big difference between that and people having to be pulled in line when Billy starts showing up next to Muammar Gaddafi in parades and having somebody working inside the White House, doing a White House business and coming out the other side $2 billion richer. I mean, the compare again. I'm not talking about the governor here so much as I'm talking about all the Republicans that are freaking out over Hunter Biden when they don't look at all the things Donald Trump's children and in-laws got, who actually worked inside the White House and got these sweetheart deals from Saudi Arabia and China while they're inside the White House, Rev, working inside the White House. Talk about pay to play.
And I think that that's the real issue here. When you have a congressional committee wanting to look at someone, whoever it is, that has no real government connection, that's not under any guidelines of government because they're not working for the government. They're related to somebody that does. Now you're really overstepping what government ought to do. That does not mean we shouldn't condone it. That doesn't mean some relatives don't trade off of situations like that. But you don't have oversight over them. You don't have oversight over Congress people or senators' cousins. So, I mean, what they're doing here is overstepping the authority of the committee. Even though we may all say that was a bad thing somebody did, they have no oath or obligation to answer to a congressional committee because they're not a government employee.
Yeah, I mean, you had, so Reagan, Alex just told me, Neil Reagan owned radio stations. Reminds me of that Lady Bird, magically. Got licenses to TV stations in Texas and became incredibly wealthy. You look at the Bushes, some of the Bush kids, the same, did very well on the side. So these Republicans, I mean, they're sitting here looking at Hunter Biden, and somehow missing again not only the $2 billion example right in front of them, but also a long history of this.
I mean, Jared Kushner continues to cash out on the Trump presidency and all of the connections he made with the UAE and the Saudis throughout his 4 years in the White House in this senior job that he had when he ostensibly should have been advocating and negotiating policies on behalf of the U.S., but was instead fomenting and creating these relationships with people who he now continues to do business with. But there is a long history of troubled family members and children in the presidency in the White House. And I think I've read the Devon Archer testimony several times, and the headlines couldn't be clearer. Devon Archer says that Joe Biden had no knowledge, no discussions with Hunter Biden of the business dealings that they were doing. And if you read really closely, I think the picture and the portrait that is painted by Devon Archer is actually a really sad one of a son who's exploiting his dad, taking advantage of him, sort of doing everything he can to capitalize on his name, selling this brand. That's absolutely true.
And by the way, we've seen it time and again. I don't think it's right. In fact, if I were in that position, I'd look at all my family members and say, you know, if you do anything like this, you ain't going to have a problem with the feds. You're going to have problems with me. But it happens time and time and time again. And again, we have an example of a sad situation here. Billy Carter is a sad situation. You look at some of the Bush issues. You look at, like you said, I mean, it's somebody in the shadow of either a brother or a father or somebody else, and they go out and they try to trade on the name. And yeah, it's pretty terrible. But if you have somebody that's actually making $2 billion off the Saudis, building a relationship off of Middle East peace talks, and off the Saudis, once again, the false equivalency is outrageous. And they keep. Do we have that clip of the poor guy, the poor Republican, trying to? Yeah. Here, let's. You know, sometimes, and I know this better than most. Sometimes you should just stay off of TV, right? Sometimes it doesn't pay. That happens to me about 75% of the time I get on TV. But here's a congressman from New York that needs to give me a call the next time he thinks he wants to go on an interview. Play the tape.
Despite nearly 2 years now of an investigation into the president's son, while you have certainly unearthed a trove of evidence that the committee says proves the president's association, there has not been produced a smoking gun. Clear-cut, undeniable proof of the president's involvement with his son's foreign business deals. What do you say to that?
Well, we've never claimed that we have direct money going to the president, but many members of his family have received money from foreign governments. And this is something that is very important for the American people to know.
I want to just follow up with you, sir, on a point you made a moment ago, which is you said we never claimed that any money was funneled directly to the president. That is precisely the claim that the chairman of your committee, James Comer, and also Jim Jordan have made many times on the public record.
We are putting an investigation together, laying out the facts between on the business dealings of this family. We are going to continue this investigation. I believe impeachment inquiry would give us more tools to get the job done.
And then at the end of the clip, Jillian Turner there, who was tough. Jillian Turner said, okay, again, we just have to tell our viewers that they actually have claimed a direct line from Hunter Biden and these deals to Joe Biden. But actually, the problem he had was he's on a committee where they're lying. He actually went on TV and told the truth. And it was sort of crossways with Jordan and Comer. But that is what they keep trying to claim, right? That somehow Joe Biden, doddering Joe Biden, who they say can't even think straight, is somehow the criminal mastermind of some international money ring.
I mean, kudos to Jillian Turner on Fox News for fact-checking him in real time, because she's absolutely right. Comer and everyone on that committee has said several times they have made these unsubstantiated claims and been unable to find the evidence to prove it, that there is a direct link between Hunter Biden and his business affairs and Joe Biden. There is no such thing. They haven't found anything. And now Comer is moving the goalpost because they know that if they do need to impeach Joe Biden, there is no smoking gun, at least not yet. He now says he's going to subpoena Joe Biden and Hunter Biden. We'll see how far that goes.
Well, and I've never understood people that say things one day and act like tomorrow's never going to come, right? So Comer will say things like, again, who's the guy you were talking about, that testimony?
Devin Archer.
Devin Archer.
He was the star GOP witness.
Yeah,
that was supposed to
exactly.
be the smoking gun.
The star GOP witness, they got their smoking gun. It's all horrible. And then the next day you read the transcript, you're like, oh, wait, this actually breaks in Biden's way. They've done that time and time again, where they go, oh, we've got this tape. The FBI has a tape that shows that we have this, and then, poor old Grassley has to go out and say, well, we don't care whether he's guilty or not. We're going after him anyway. And then they go, oh, we've got this great informant. We've got this great informant that's going to bring him down. He knows where all the bodies are buried. And then you find out he's an international fugitive. He's like an agent for the communist Chinese. He's been illegally funneling Iranian oil. I can't make this up. No. And I wish I were smart enough to make this up.
Bill Barr looked into his claims under the Trump presidency and closed them.
Right. And he's funneling oil to the Communist Chinese Party, Iranian oil illegally. And what you just said, Jackie, we can't underline enough. Anytime these conspiracy theories come up, or these two-tiered conspiracy, there's two tiers of justice. Everything they're accusing the Biden administration of not doing, the FBI or Justice Department, it was actually the Trump Justice Department and FBI, where Trump would say, charge Hillary Clinton in 2017. And, Sessions Justice Department, Mr. President, there's no crime there. 2018, he went back, charge Hillary Clinton. What happens? The Justice Department looks at it, they go, Mr. President, there is no crime. We can't charge Hillary Clinton. Same thing with Hunter Biden. It's nonsense. But anyway, that's the thing. And these investigations, Trump's justice tried this. If they've got an issue, they need to get Bill Barr and Jeff Sessions and all the AGs there. And you wanted to say something, Rev, Jonathan?
We keep saying there's no smoking gun. There's not even a gun here. Smoking or non-smoking. You're going to subpoena Joe Biden to ask him what? Based on what? You're the lawyer here, Joe. You have to have a basis for a witness. What are you bringing him here for? To ask him, does he know his son?
Right.
Because he's not alleged to have been involved in any of that. Jared had the tag. He was an official part of the administration representing the White House. Hunter never was in that position. So what are you even talking about here that would justify discussing a subpoena? There's nothing there.
In the stretch run of the 2020 election, Donald Trump asked his Justice Department to investigate his political opponent, which is exactly, of course, what the Republicans are claiming President Biden and his team are doing now. And look, the Archer testimony presents a sad and even unseemly tale for Hunter Biden, but there's no evidence there. There's no direct evidence that President Biden himself was involved. But that's not stopping the escalation.